Mhm. Hello, everyone. How are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. We are here today with Dr. Sandra Fabiano. She's a great friend of mine. I'm very glad to be here with her. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for your presence with us. And I'd like to introduce my friend Sandra Fabiano to you guys. Dr. Sandra Fabiano maintains a private practice in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Her practice is limited to periodontics and oral implantology. She studied dentistry at Valença Dental School in Rio. After that, she completed her specialization in periodontics at Brazilian Dental Association Rio de Janeiro section. Dr. Sandra was initially trained in plant dentistry by Nobel Biocare in Brazil, São Paulo. Her master's degree in implantology was completed at São Leopoldo Mandic Dental School, Campinas, São Paulo, Brazil, where she later occupied the position of assistant professor of the master course in neuroimplantology. That's amazing, Sandra. She currently holds the position of coordinator professor of specialization in implant dentistry at São Leopoldo Mandic Dental School in Rio de Janeiro. Sandra Fabiano loves working at the university because, according to her vision, a teacher does more than teach new techniques. A teacher educates his students and teach how to practice the profession with ethics and patience. As a mentor to her students, she can show young women at the beginning of their careers that they had the same opportunity as any other professional. Dr. Sandra Fabiano coordinates the project Divas in Dentistry in Brazil. Here in Los Angeles is Dr. Delia Tullo. Uh, she's an active member of Brazilian Academy of Dentistry and Brazilian Society of Oral Rehabilitation. Dr. Sandra Fabiano's field of interest is guide bone regeneration, bone substitutes, autologous blood concentrates, same as I, and periodontal and peri-implant plastic surgeries. She's an active national and international speaker, and I'm very happy to be with you here today, Sandra. Thank you so much for your time, and the floor is yours.
Well, Carlos, thank you, Carlos. I'm very, very glad to be here talking to you about our passion, dentistry. And as a podcast, we are going to talk about life, our lives, our profession, and our family as well. As well. And I'd like to thank the Dr. Keanu Shah for the kind invitation, and to all members of the boards of the Global Summit Institute. So I'm so glad, Carlos. Carlos is a great friend of mine from Brazil also.
Mhm. Sandra, doing your practice in periodontics and in implant dentistry, I guess you like the challenge of surgery, don't you?
Yes. As my practice is limited to perio and implant, I love surgeries. I always knew, since I was a student at dental school, that I was going to be a surgeon. I knew that. So when I graduated, my focus was perio. As you said, I did my specialization in the Brazilian Association of Dental Association in Rio de Janeiro. And in my office, my practice limit to perio and implants. And I have a partner there. My partner is also called Sandra. Dr. Sandra Coutis is a prosthodontics. We work together, we plan together,
Mm-hmm.
and we perform our surgeries together because my practice is only for a perio and implant, of course. She's a great prosthodontist. And a few years later, when I finished my perio course, I went to Campinas, and no, I went to São Paulo first to practice implant at Nobel Biocare, at Sendic Clinics. At that time, at the end of the 90s, it wasn't a specialization course. Where it was
Mm-hmm.
the big company as Nobel Biocare was in Brazil, and I trained there maybe almost 2 years. And then later, I decided to be a teacher again. I was teacher in Peru, I'm going to tell you. And I went to Campinas to do my master's course, and I become a MSc.
Awesome, awesome. I think that's one of the best things in Brazil, because we in Brazil we have the not only very good doctors, but we have the question about the specialization in plastic dentistry. In the US, they
That's
don't
true.
have the specialization in plastic dentistry. So sometimes it could sound maybe weird for them. Oh, the specialization of implant dentistry. Yeah, we have in Brazil
Yeah,
the specialization in implant dentistry. Uh, normally between 2 or 3 years normally, and
2 years. My course,
in the US they,
my students stay there
yeah,
2 years.
some course, yes, some course 2 years, and I read see on the internet. I read saw on the internet some course with 3 years. But anyways, I was telling about the question of the specialization, and here in the US they studied the periodontics only, and then they learn periodontics
Let me tell you
in
something
the
about that.
in the chair of in the chair of the in periodontics. They learn periodontics, implant dentistry, prosthesis, and all of that.
Let me tell you something. When I was in São Paulo at Nobel Biocare Brazil, practicing implants, they only accept periodontists and oral maxillofacial surgeons
Surgeons.
to perform surgeries, and prosthodontics to
Hmm.
perform the prosthetic part. And nowadays, most of, I don't know most, if all the course, in my course, as I am perio, I'm a periodontist, and most of my teachers there, my assistants are perio, some are prosthodontic. We do a lot of perio because the peri-implantar plastic surgery nowadays, you cannot perform surgeries, implant surgeries without doing something in perio, and you do
For sure,
the
for sure.
prosthetic
Yeah,
part also. But in the past, no, only perio and oral maxillofacial surgeons, as like you, was allowed to do the implant courses in the big company as Nobel Biocare. That's fine.
yeah, for
But
sure.
now you have a
And that,
specialization.
yeah, and but with this, the question of the specialization, that's why I think that we have great, amazing dental surgeons and amazing specialists in Brazil in plant dentistry as you. And then I think that's maybe maybe I think in the US they will start something. Um, I don't know. I hope something like that, because I think that here is they need to understand more. They need to study more about the implants dentistry, not only the whole thing, not only about periodontics, and include periodontics, because periodontics is a huge area and a huge
Yes, it
field,
is.
and
It is.
include periodontics, prosthesis, and dental implants at the same course. And then I think that 3 years, that's not enough for this.
Maybe 3 years enough. Maybe 3 years enough. Not less than
No,
3 years
no, no,
because
no, no,
when yeah,
not not
I know
not
to
not
study
2 years.
the whole thing
2 years for implant dentistry. 2 years for implant dentistry. I know that.
in one
2 years for
year,
implant dentistry. I think that's pretty good.
but
But
it's not enough,
here is
Carlos. It's not
because
enough.
here is
I know
the
because when
master.
my students, I have a group that is finishing this month, next week, and the other one is beginning will begin in August. And I always tell them when some of them, I
That's a
have
great
periodontists
opportunity.
there. Yeah, I tell
Yeah.
them, when you finish here, it's not enough. Do not a specialization, but maybe a course with small courses in perio. You know, you need perio. You need perio. Perio is basic. I always say
Hmm.
that I'm a periodontist that perform implant. That's completely
That's amazing.
different.
That. Yeah, and then that's perfect for implant dentistry for sure.
I
And
tried to
can you
teach,
tell
but
us
2 years
about?
not enough.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd like to ask you if you can tell us a little bit about your uh, career as teacher.
Well, that's my passion. That's my passion. But not the first passion is my family. One of my passions is teaching. Teaching. Since I was in Brazilian Dental Association doing my course of perio, I used it to stay there. I'm going to tell you about that. I was there. I helped them. That's maybe since I was in dental school. Okay,
Hmm.
and my first passion is my wonderful husband. I'm at home. I hope he's hearing me. And but the other are my career as a dentist, you know, and the perio, mainly perio, and implants, and teaching, of course, teaching. Okay, and when I was there, let me tell you, my first specialization was perio. When I finished my course there, they invited me to stay with them, to join the team. And I stayed there maybe 3 years as a teacher. But of course, I was beginning just, assisting them, helping the students, but I stayed there.
Hmm.
I didn't have my master's degree because I think that a teacher professor has to have a master's degree.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I
Yeah.
stay there, in my opinion. I stayed with them for maybe 3 years. 3 years. And then I had an opportunity to create a department of preventive dentistry to take care of people who didn't have the opportunity to go to a private clinic. I did that. So I'm very
Awesome.
proud of that because with the
For sure.
support of the president of the Brazilian Dental Association, my professor, I created, okay, focus on periodontal disease and the case, just to teach the teachers, nurses, fathers and mothers in the communities, and we create that. So I let my signature there for a humanitarian cause. Cause I'm very proud of that. This is my story in Peru about implants. Let
Hmm.
me say something first. Our lives, in my opinion, is a sum of our choices, encounters with people, with institutions, and a bit of luck. Okay, I got married when I finished my specialization in Peru, and few months later, I had an opportunity to attend a course in Texas, University of Texas, dental branch in
Hmm.
Texas, Peru, Peru. And and with the support of my wonderful husband, I went. I went there and I stayed for a while there. And there, it was my first encounter or my first contact with oral implantology there. It was they did the trauma there. And I was there for perio, and perio
Mhm.
implant, like you said, in the United States is that was perio and implant together. And back to Brazil, I decided to train to do implants, 4 implants. And I went to São Paulo, to Sandy Clinical, where they gave they used to give a course sponsored by the Nobel Biocare Brazil. And when I finished it, wow, my desire to teach was enormous. So I went to Campinas. So I have to do something. I went to Campinas and I did my master course there. Okay. After staying a while in Campinas, I finished my course, my master course, and the dean
Mhm.
invited me to stay there. I'm a luck person, invited me to stay there as an assistant professor too. But I live in Rio. I stayed there maybe for 3 years. And at the end of these 3 years, they said to me, Sandra, you have to go to, because I was there each month for a week. And
Yeah.
I have to finish this part of my life because I have a family here in Rio. And he said to me, he invited me to hold the position of
So,
coordinating professor in São Leopoldo Mandica in a advanced campus they they have in Rio, in Botafogo, a suburb of Rio, and then I'm staying
uh,
there until now.
some people some people don't know, but the distance between Rio and Campinas, Rio and São
Yeah.
Paulo, is almost you must drive almost 8 hours to arrive in Campinas,
Or
and then that's
by plane an
really far.
hour by plane.
Yeah, yeah, by plane in 1 hour.
So
Uh, and so you spend a
for
lot
me
of
was
money. You spent a lot of money for sure.
hard, and but that's the life, to hold positions and to have your career. You have to do that. You have to do that. But I have a
So
support of my family.
now, but now you are the coordinator. You are coordinator professor
Since there,
at the
I mean, I
one of
coordinate
the
for
you are
11
the
years.
coordinator, one of the most yeah, in one of the most important particular university in Brazil, the São Leopoldo
Yeah,
Mandic.
it is. It is. It is.
And I'd like to know from you, uh, what do you think about this position? Because we know that we have a lot of men in this position as a coordinator, and I think that you are you're
Only all
the
you know.
only woman. Yeah, you're the only woman as a
Yeah, you
coordinator
know.
in coincidence in Rio.
Well, Carlos, let me tell you something. I developed my career in my own terms, through my studies, my work, my examples. And I have never had a problem being a woman. My peers and my colleagues, my students, they have a higher respect about me. I don't have trouble, but I know that in some many countries, some different cultures, some women, many women, not some
Yeah.
women, no, I have a problem. And that's why I told at the beginning of this podcast, you told that I love young students. I love the male, but the female, because they look at me and can be an inspiration for them. I talk a lot to that girls, and they have a group founded by in California, by Dr. Della and here in Brazil, I coordinate this group. Me and Dr. Priscilla. Pereira in São Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
She's from São Paulo and from Rio. And we try, to support the woman, the careers, to support that woman around the world. It's a great network nowadays, a great network.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know,
For sure. I agree.
to face their fears, to grow in their profession. I love this. That's what I do in the university. My students, I have very young students, but I have a student with 60 years, from 24 to 60. And it's so nice to have these 60 years students too, because they're trying to grow in their careers, and then they go again to the university. They stay 2 years. It's hard to stay 2 years. It's expensive, and they do that.
Yeah.
And the young people, I love to guide them.
Yeah, even Brazil
But
is
I
pretty
I have
expensive
never had a problem
specialization.
being a woman. I said to you, but I know in many countries you might have. That's why you have this group, Divas in Dentistry.
Mm-hmm. But today we are in follow the red
Yeah. Raquelzita.
from our friend Raquelzita.
Raquelzita.
Yeah.
That's the
From
coincidence.
our friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Follow the red. Don't follow the red in Brazil, people. Only in Portugal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
Maybe Raquel can create something in Brazil for sure. Maybe she will
No,
do
she's
something.
not. So that's
So
it. That's my story. That's my story. I'm a
that's
I'm a
amazing.
teacher. I think since I was born, I'm a teacher. I
That
like teaching.
that that's amazing, Sandra. And uh, now I'd like to see your presentation. I'm very curious about your presentation. Can you
Wow,
present it to us?
responsibility. Okay, let's do
Yeah.
it.
So
Let's
the
do it.
floor is yours.
Let me see if it's possible here. Is it okay, Carlos? Can you see my
Yeah,
presentation?
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I chose this topic, the biology and measurement of extraction further. The other name is the name we found in all the papers is sucker preservation or alveolar reed preservation, because it's a kind of situation we face every day in our clinics. At the university, we face it every day. You have to place an implant, and you don't have bone, and when you hear the patient, my tooth was extracted maybe 10 years ago or 1 year ago, and we face it. We face with lots of fracture. Now that's very interesting. The emergence that I went to see in my office during the pandemic, all of them were fracture root. Maybe the people are very upset, nervous with this situation, this crisis. So, but there are in this kind of topic, in this issue, structural sockets, socket preservation, we have some biological and clinical factor that we have to take into account when choosing the better way to do that, the better approach for each situation, the better approach to the patient. You have to talk to the patient. Each patient has a story. Each patient has a desire. So that's why I like this topic. Here, can you see, Carlos, everything? Hear me?
Yeah, I can
Dr.
hear
Carlos?
you.
Okay. This
Yeah,
is
I'm
São
here.
Leopoldo Mandic. Okay. This is São Leopoldo Mandic. This is my team. I put Dr. Emilde in here. Dr. Carlos know her very well. She was your
Mm-hmm.
she your teaching? Was she your teacher at the university during your graduation?
Yeah,
You know
she
her
was my teacher in my
very
undergraduation.
undergraduation
Yeah,
course.
in my undergraduation program. Yeah.
And I'm very proud of my team because only Dr. Rodrigo Reich and Dr. Emil de Barros weren't my students. The others were students. Camila in Campinas, she did a master's course there, and I invited her to join us, and she accepted. She's fantastic. Dr. Barbara, Dr. Daniel, Dr. Rodrigo, Dr. Rafael, Dr. Selma, and Dr. Marcos. And here you can have a view of our university in Rio. This is the lab, this is the clinic, and you know, I haven't seen my university, my students since February. You know that because of the pandemic. Because since the mid of March, all dentists in the world was not allowed to make clinical cares, only emergencies. And maybe when you go there, the situation will be completely different because this biosafety procedure will be different. Yeah, everybody with face shields, different PPEs. Yeah? And here is the clinic, the students observe. We perform surgeries with teachers. When I see we, teachers. And then they observe, they present the surgery they are going to do in the next month, and we discuss all the steps of the surgery, and then they perform the surgery. You see the Dr. Rodrigo Reich guiding these two students. This is very young. And sometimes our group, we perform surgery in our office too. This is in my office with the guys. Sometimes we are a team, as I said to you. So the rationale for alveolar socket preservation is that the alveolar process is a tooth-dependent structure, okay? Since Dr. Schroeder in 1996, since the 90s, the 80s, and they talk about that. Okay, we know that when all the teeth are extracted, the alveolar process undergo atrophy. Dimension changing height and width appears, and it's very quick with this. It's very quick. I'm going to show you, and it's very important to preserve. It's easier to preserve than to reconstruct. I'm going to show you some cases. It's a it's a demanding procedure. And I put these two articles here. Dr. Mauricio Araújo, is a fantastic researcher from Brazil. And why I put these two articles here from 2005? Well, in 2005, I was there. I was in Boston. I always attend a symposium in Boston, the Symposium on Periodontics and Restorative Dentistry. Now it held 3 and 3 years. It was 1 and then 2, now 3. I wasn't in the last. Dr. Carl was there in the last. And I watched Dr. Mauricio Araújo presented this paper. And he warned the scientific community about this, because since 1998, when Dr. Peter Hole showed us the first immediate implant with professionalization, so many dentists, clinicians, so many papers come about this issue, about this topic. And he warned, the scientific community and the clinician, people take care because we have to take care of the buccal bone, the bundle bone, because it's in the upper maxilla, especially in the upper maxilla, the buccal bone is very thin. The buccal bone is composed in this part of our maxilla, the mammalian maxilla, only with the alveolar bone proper. The histological name for the alveolar bone proper is bundle bone, and it's very thin. So you have to have protocols to perform immediate implants. But at the same symposium, I saw the fabulous Dr. Joseph Kahn showing his cases of immediate implants. Since the 2000, he was talking about this topic, immediate implantation provisionalization. And he did with a different approach. And it was very good. You know why? Because this article of Araújo was a game changer. Because before that, so many protocols, so many researchers wrote about this topic, and the protocols was changed. I'm going to give some example. For example, small diameter implants, filling the gap. The implant ought to fill the gap. The position of the implant in immediate implants is likely palatalized, and filling the gap with biomaterials, a bond substitute with a slow reserve biomaterial. So many protocols changed. It was good for us, for our clinicians. I always say that I teach, but I'm a clinician. I perform surgeries, and you have to know the protocol. Everything changed. And that's what I'm going to show here, the next slide. Look, that's what I was talking. The inner part of the alveolar bone, we call the alveolar bone proper. It's a bundle bone. The bundle bone, it's a primary bone. It's not a mature bone. It's the bone where the sharpest fiber are embedded, you know, and it disappears when we extract it or we lost it, a tooth, when the tooth are extracted. So you have to know that it disappears. I'm going to show you now very quickly because it's a biological article, and I have so many clinical cases to show you today, and I don't have much time. And I love this article of Cardaropoli. And he passed away. I'm so sorry for that. Giuseppe, I always think about him. He was a friend. And in 2003, in the same group as Araújo and Lind, he wrote this paper, Dynamic of Bone Tissue Formation in Tooth Extraction Sites. It's very didactic. It's a very didactic paper because she shows from day 1 to day 180. As you can see here, in day 1, we have the clot, but we have the inflammatory cells, you know. And day 1, we have the bundle bone here, the bundle bone I told you, the alveolar bone proper. We still have, and we have the clot acting, you know, the platelets and the cytokines acting here, releasing growth factors to produce bone and to heal the alveolus. And we still have the periodontal ligament here. You know that I always say that the periodontal ligament is a factor of cells and vessels. Okay? When you go to the day 7, a provisional matrix occupies part of this periodontal ligament, but we still have the periodontal ligament doing so many things here. It's a factor, it's a source of effects together with the cytokines, with the growth factors. And we have the bundle bone in the day 7. When we go to the day 7, we see here a provisional matrix, okay? And we go to the day 14, we have a kind of bond present, a woven bond that's the primary bond, the mature bond. When we go to day 13, the woven bond continues that we have now, another phenomenon, the model and remodeling. The model phenomenon is changes the architecture of these alveolus, okay? And the remodeling is going to change the woven bond to a lamellar bond. When you go to day 60, you'll see the woven bond, but lamellar bond. Day 90, woven bond, lamellar bond. Day 120, you see more lamellar bond. You see a bridge here. You see a bridge here. The alveolus is already closed with a kind of mature bond here. And here is a lamellar bond. So I always say that 4 months is 120 days. We can perform something in the alveolus. It depends on the approach. And day 180, a more mature alveolus. So it's very nice to know that, because what we can learn from that. We can learn about this horizontal and vertical reduction that occurs in the alveolar ridge. And one of the most cited articles in the literature is this one, Schropp. It was from 2013. But all the articles about this issue, about this, the alveolar ridge preservation or alveolar healing, they cite Schropp. And it was confirmed in the future by others researchers. We can see here in this what Schropp shows. He shows in his results was that horizontal reductions, it's huge, and vertical reduction for luckily for us, because the vertical reduction in 12 months we have 3 to 4.5 millimeters, and the horizontal reduction we have 5 to 7 millimeters. Luckily for us, because it's much easier to perform a horizontal reconstruction than a vertical reconstruction. Vertical reconstruction, vertical augmentation, both is a very demanding procedure, as I told you. So in 12 months, it's very interesting, because 2/3 in the first 3 months. In the first 3 months, 50% in 12 months of the initial wave. That's so hard, this. And the vertical reduction in 12 months, you have 3 to 5.5 millimeters. So that's, for me, the biological rationale for ridge preservation, alveolar ridge preservation. Again here. Okay, that's all right. And what can we do? As I said to you at the beginning of this webinar, there are so many choices, there are so many approaches, there are so many treatments. What can you do? I always say you have to choose reproducible techniques and to develop protocols that work in my hands. And I like many protocols, but I perform some protocols because I can reproduce the technique. I can teach to my students reproducible techniques. I can be scientific and based, because you have the scientific evidence working together with the clinical experience. I don't believe in scientific evidence without clinical experience, and I don't believe in clinical experience without scientific evidence. I'm going to show here one case of a single implant loss. This guy went to the university. He's very young. You can see the tooth are very healthy. And he lost. He has a long story about endodontic treatment, extractions, and nothing. What happened? As I showed you in 2 slides before about Sharp, 1/3 of the ridge is lost in the first 3 months. As you can see here, it's narrow. It's very narrow. And now, with the ossification approach, ossification concept, because it's a concept, we can do something better. Here we did we use a Versa drill, and let me show you. A Versa system. And we placed an implant that's in the university, as I told you. The student presented, they plan very well, they walk, and they do the surgery. And we didn't need, because of this burr, because of this system, we didn't need to perform a complex bone regeneration. We did something here. This is an organic bovine bone with collagen. Just, to protect the buccal wall, and for the sterility reasons. That's why I did this. But if you see the other case, this case is a very demanding case. I'm going to show the case at the end of the class. And this a nice lady, very elegant lady, a private patient. And look at this. When we saw this patient, I performed the surgery with a colleague, is her patient, and she didn't want anything. I'm going to tell her story at the end of the class. She didn't want anything. She only wanted to have a tooth. But I think it is the wish of most of the patients. So this kind of patients, we need to talk to them. We need to give directions. There are so many questions to talk about. The cost, the timing, what we are going to do. And I'm going to tell her story at the end of this presentation. But it's challenging. It's challenging. It's challenging because you have to reconstruct here the bone and then the tissue to give you an implant. So it's better to preserve. It's better to preserve. To reconstruct, to augment the bone are challenging procedures. And the first thing you have to know is what in the socket preservation, that's my topic today, is to know what kind of socket you have. This article, Alien, I think Dennis Turner was here. Yes, Dennis Turner too. Stuart Brown and Dennis Turner. We have type 1 socket, type 2 socket, and type 3 socket. They said, well, but type 1 socket, you don't have anything here. No, we have. Sometimes we have a fracture, but we still have the buccal bone, and we still have the soft tissue in this kind of type 1 socket. In the type 2 socket, we lost part of the buccal bone, but we still have soft tissue. We can do a socket preservation here. It's more demanding than in type 1 socket, as you can see. And you have a type 3 socket. You have to reconstruct the soft tissue, the hard tissue, first, before placing an implant. Here, you can do immediate implant. Also here, sometimes here we don't do. As I told you, you have to know what kind of socket you have, what kind of bone you have, if you have type 1, type 2, type 3, if you have buccal bone, if you have soft tissue. In 2008, another friend of mine, Dr. Alessandro Januário, from Brasilia, Brazil, a great clinician and researcher and a teacher, professor, he published this article about the soft tissue being computed tomograph, STCBCT, where they put a retractor and some dentists, some radiologists, it depends on the radiologist, they prefer the cotton roll, you know, to retract the soft tissue, the tongue and the cheek. And so we can be able to see the thickness of the tissue. So this article is, he developed a technique that helped the clinician visualize some structures of the dental unit, distance of the gingival margin to the facial bone, bone crest, the gingival margin to the CAG, everybody knows, and thickness of facial bone, cement and enamel junction, like that. Here, if you retract the cheek and retract the tongue, you can see all the units here of the dental gingival complex. You can even measure this. Some tomographers with high resolution can measure this. My radiologist in Rio, Felipe Costa from the Digital Radiology, he can do that. And the periodontics and the orthodontics order this kind of CBCT. And here you can see how thick are the soft tissues. You can measure lots of things. Let's see here. Again, Alessandro Januário, again, in 2011, I think, he wrote another paper about the dimension of the facial bone wall. Because, as I said before, Araújo did this in the animal model, animal studies, and then short measure with a probe and computed CBCT2. And here he measured with the CBCT, and he found that this buccal bone here is real, very thin. He did it in this paper. The authors did, 2 measurements from the crest of bone, the bone crest, from 1 millimeter, from 3 millimeters, and from 5 millimeters. And they found, and the results are, the measure demonstrated that facial bone wall in most locations, in all 2 sites examined, the N, the number was 2050, or less than or equal to 1 millimeter thick, and 50% was less than or equal 0.5 millimeters thick. So very, very narrow. Very, very narrow. So a good CBCT in a good tomographer is a good radiologist, you know, a high quality exam helps a lot. This is Felipe Costa, radiologist. He sent to me. Look, you can see the CAJ to the bone crest. To here they put lens, but you know it's lens. Here is lens. He always put lens, but sometimes his thickness is not lens. Senate and amount junction to bone crest we can measure. That's very nice. That's very nice to carry on. Cement enamel junction to gingival margin, you know? And here, bone crest to gingival margin. For us, as oral implantologists, you can see the space for biological width. No? In this case here, 5.74. Usually we need, for all the components of biological width, you need at least 3 to 4, but 4 is better. So this kind of exam is very nice. About regarding buccal plate thickness and gingiva thickness. And they put lens here, you know, but it's thickness. We can measure the buccal plate. Here, he measured 1 millimeter from the bone crest. He measured. He found 0.5. Remember, Alessandro January paper I showed you with CBCT? He found that 50% was less or equal to 0.5 millimeters. Very thin, very thin. And gingival thickness, oh, it's very important. Now you can plan, you can talk to the patients. We need, you know, usually gingival biotypes, now we call phenotypes. The American Academy changed this concept since 2017. We're going to talk about the gingival thickness. We can talk to patients. We are going to need a subtibial connective tissue graft or a free gingival graft. We need a thick gingiva to have more predictable outcomes in the long terms. Sorry. So you need a good tomographer. You know, you need a good. You have to, you know, to see everything before perform a surgery. But this case is fine. I'm not sure this case, but I have this case because she sent to me. I'm going to send to you. This is a blue sky. Blue sky is usually the people who use the dentists, the clinicians to perform a guided surgery. But you can also plan all your case in the blue sky too. I'm going to show this case of 2007. We have now. If the follow-up of maybe 11 years, I don't remember, it's 11 years, yes, we have. In 2007, I met Dr. Araujo in Boston, showing his paper about the buccal bone, the bundle bone, and I came to Brazil. I think I saw him in 2006. And I told to a friend of mine, in this case, Dr. Emilio Barroso, let's find a case to do. But I also watched the fabulous Dr. Joseph Kahn there, talking about middle implantation with provisionalization. And he was doing, at that time, he was filling the gap, was doing different approach because he was writing lots of papers about this issue since 2000. And at that time, we didn't have this paper here, CAM papers, because this paper was wrote in 2010. But I know as a periodontist that a thick periodontal biotype is better, you know, it's better for perio, for implant. I learned that. And I put this article here because at that time we didn't have this kind of high resolution CBCT. We didn't. We have at that time. I know she did. I don't have here. She did. I think it was a linear tomograph. It was very difficult to see this kind of tomograph. And then came the cone beam tomograph later. But I can see visually, that this is a thick periodontal biotype. Usually, the periodontal biotype, as I learned, as everybody learned at that time, had a good bone morphotype. But in 2017, during a world workshop, the AAP, American Academy of Periodontology, and the EFP, European Federation of Periodontology, they joined the researchers, and they made a consensus. And a new classification of periodontal disease and conditions, okay? And they did a new concept about that. And a new concept changed the name, because they said in this consensus that periodontal biotype means only a generic trait, general generic trait. And they changed it for periodontal phenotype, because periodontal phenotype, we have it's about generic trait, but about environment too. So there are three items here. When we said we used it to say in the past about periodontal biotype, we only was talk about thick or thin gingiva. But phenotype, periodontal phenotype, means that about gingival phenotype, bone morphotype, and keratinized white. Okay, keratinized white. If you have a keratinized white, and how long it was this keratinized white. So three factors that means that a person has a periodontal phenotype thick, not only in gingival aspect, but about keratinized tissue white and bone morphotype. It means, and now you can see this in the tomograph. So the case, following Dr. Khan protocols, immediate implant placement 2007, and it's likely palatinized because we have to avoid the buccal plate, and filling the gap, placing the implant. This is a Nobel Biocare implant and a Nobel implant, and as Dr. Khan said, and as he does until now, bone substitute in this case is better a slow resorption bone substitute. Here is by us. Others author in 2009, 2010, 2018 until now confirm these reports. I saw her before, but I'm showing here in 2010. 3 years. I forgot to say, this patient was a heavy smoker patient. In 3 years, we see this is implant and the tooth. The bone architecture is perfect. Now I know she had a phenotype, a thick phenotype, periodontal phenotype, not only periodontal biotype, a phenotype. Yes, she had. Look, the keratinized gingiva, keratinized tissue. We saw the bone there, measured. We see his visual. And we could measure that. Maybe she has 2 millimeters of gingival thickness. So now I know. We did it only become protocol, 3 years. Now I saw her in 2018, 12 years. Look, perfect. And she gave me a great news. She stopped smoking. And look at the architecture of the peri-implant tissues. Perfect. Now I know. And at that time, I ordered a tomograph. Look here. The resorbable bone substitute still there, in the place that it has to be. Of course, preserving the buccal plate. What I would do different here? Now is 14 years. 14 years since I did this case. A small diameter implant, nothing else. So, immediate implant placement is a kind of soft preservation too, but it's not the only. And we have to take care. When Maurício Araújo in 2005 warned the scientific community about that, about the buccal plate, until now, I say to my students, let's see the tomograph. Sometimes we prefer just to graft and do the implant, to stage the implant. And it's not, in all cases, you can do the immediate placement with personalization. Let's see this case. We have a type 1 socket. We have a problem. We have to extract these things. But what can we do here? We have many choices, I said to you. I always talk about what I do, what I prefer, what I read, what I study. I like so many techniques. I recommend techniques, but sometimes I don't do. I don't do because my techniques and I do my techniques and it's well, I have a great outcome, but I like the other techniques too. What can we do here? Structures to graft. My first step was to graft the alveolars, and then posteriorly place an implant. But we have many papers saying so many things. This is a consensus of the ITI. They say we can place immediate implant placement same day. That our case was. This case, it was immediate implant in the same day with professionalization. Early implant placement, when we have only soft tissue healing. Early implant placement with partial bone healing, or late implant placement. I would never do this and this. And I would put here, if I write a paper, Carlos, immediate implant placement, maybe sometimes early implant placement, and graft the site and the stage the implant. At that case, we have to extract the tooth as atraumatical as possible. Well, to extract a tooth is traumatic. I don't know why we say atraumatic, but as a traumatic as possible. With periotomus and beavers, I like these microblades. I prefer instead of beavers. Some devices like bayonet we use in the course. We use there only for didactic reasons. I think it's not worth it. And delicate forceps. I like this one and this one. So structure. Place the implant. Look the gap. Look the gap. I watched the Dr. Maurício Araújo webinar maybe 2 weeks ago, and he was published a paper about the size of the gap regarding the buccal bone. So is the gap like that? Well, what can I put in the gap? I have many choices. I put this plated rich fiber and PRF here just to say that I use this. I use resorbable, slow resorbable, an organic bovine bone alone for the gap. But when I perform a soft graft, I use PRF also. I love. Since we were trained in 2013, I think, 7 years ago, I have been using this and I like so much. We have great support in the literature, and it's a rich fiber network with platelets and cytokines released by the growth factors and cytokines released by the platelet and the leukocytes. And moreover, it gives my patients a wonderful post-operative comfort. And it has a great impact on tissue regeneration, bone regeneration. So I use, and my course, in my office, I don't perform procedures without this. Sometimes in a small gap, only the bone substitute. But in thicker gaps, I prefer to use stick bone. So we are supported by the literature, lots of papers. Dr. Carlos Fernando de Almeida Barros Mourão, I like this, is a new one with Dr. Kavian about, I said about the comfort, the pain comfort, the pulse healing, the pain, the pulse extraction soft, the soft tissue healing, and the comfort. It's less pain and more comfort. I use a lot. So in that case, continue this case. I mix the LPRF. LPRF is a name. The name of the technique is PRF. We have APRF, LPRF, YPRF, and so many PRF. Fibrin, I forgot the name in Brazil, but so many PRF, so many techniques, so many concepts. But PRF is only one. PRF is that one. The researchers, the Joseph Chocron, discovered in 2001 and published in 2003, Dohan, and so many great researchers. And I prefer LPRF. LPRF is a brand name. I use this, the centrifuge. I use it was interlocked, now it's by Horizon. LPRF mixed with biomaterial plus LPRF food, sealing the alveolus. Now I use much more two membranes instead of plug. So always this bone substitute is extra graft. It's an organic bovine bone with collagen. This is the case. When I graft the alveolus, I always do a biocoal socket preservation technique to sealing the alveolus. Biocoal socket preservation technique is put a provisional, it's a adhesive bridge. I never left without any bridge, any restoration, because it's the bone architecture, the soft tissue, architecture, works well when you put a provisional. And this is approved. But nowadays I do lots of cases with only membranes to membrane. And this is the case, before placing the implant and the new CBCT. The graft here, and the gap was big, so you have a lot of bone here, and it worked very well. It works well, this kind of protocol. I prefer. I forgot to say. I prefer to flapless procedures like the one I showed you, but sometimes not possible. Like in this case. In this case, it's a class 1 sagittal root position. Class 1 sagittal root position is Joseph Kahn classification. So for me, it's more than a class 1 sagittal position, because as you see here, the root, it's outside the envelope. So in this case, I didn't soft tissue cone beam tomograph. If I had this kind of tomograph, I could see exactly. It's better. It's better. Okay. This is the classification. Luckily for us, most of the case, most of in his paper, he reported that 81% was class 1. We can have a good primary specialization here in the palatal aspect of the socket. Extract and fill the gap. This is not a good situation, and this is the worst situation. This here, only if the apex, above the apex, you have a wide measuring to have a primary stabilization. But anyway, I prefer this one. Sometimes if you find other, it's better to graft. So we did perform the modified flap preserving the papilla. Modified flap preserving the papilla. And you preserve the papilla, and you have to check. This guy is a patient from our course. He's a poor guy. He doesn't have enough money. Even we can see that the restoration are not, pleasant. Has not a pleasant aesthetic, but he did it, and then we tried to help him. My assistant did composites to him. We did here a PRF block using, we cut, the protocol is the same as doing per PRF, but now we use IPRF or liquid PRF to cut the membrane and you drop IPRF, liquid PRF, and you have a graft like that. Some people call the stick bone, more stick bone, and in my concept, in my protocol, I call PRF block. PRF block, LPRF membrane, not less than 2, and the sutures. Of course, the periodontists love soft tissue. At the time to reopen, we did the connective tissue graft. Now you see much better aesthetic, but because my assistant, he did his restoration for free. The guy doesn't have money. Even when they go to the university, they pay us, but they pay. Did a great job here, and but still have a defect here. We did again another connective tissue graft, and now it's very funny. He's so happy. So it's a good cause. A guy like that is a young boy, poor boy. You have to help the people in our lives. Now you see before and after. The position of the implant is very correct. Here you see the guide. The guide was made for implant placement. In type 2 sockets, sometimes we can place an implant. This case is a very demanding case, very challenging case. And it's a type 2, no? More than type 2, almost entirely type 2. But here you can see in my image, you see that part of the buccal bone is lost. But that's a girl, just a lady, she still have soft tissue, gingival. Look the case. The case is extracting. So it's a type 2 socket. The texture is preserved. Don't believe it, but it's preserved. So extracted tools, graft Let's graft? No. Let's do a technique of the ice cream cone. So maybe some of you know that Shu and Tunnel described. We tried, and with her consent, we tried this technique, and it worked very well. Extract the tooth. Again, a connective tissue, of course. In this case, is mandatory. A connective tissue graft before grafting. Sorry, people. Let me see here. Yeah, no, in this case, we graft, of course. We graft. But we graft with a connective tissue graft, no? To transform this thing, phenotype, not biotype, in the thicker phenotype. And we did a graft with the same bond substitute, but using now a membrane. I like this membrane, collagen membrane, but it's not a guide. She uses a lot of guides to it. This is from Zimmer, a biomembrane, because when she acts, she doesn't, modify so much. We follow. Look here, a case. It's like that. This extract. We have this, and we insert a graft here, and we go to the alveolus and insert a membrane. I did until here. Entire graft. We bought a big membrane, and we cut the membrane. We go to the buccal plate to palatal plate, and did a scaffold together with the bone graft. Yeah, it worked. And the provisional. Look, maintain the architecture of the peri-implant tissues. And here we have the implant placed. I have this tomograph, but she didn't do at the university. She didn't in a private, with a private radiologist. I don't have here, but it's nice. It's very nice. It works. Now I'm going to show a case that I'm doing most now. Yeah, using this a guided bone, a natural guide bone regeneration. This term, natural guided bone regeneration therapy, was coined by Dr. Nelson Pinto, where we have a socket. This patient is from the university also. He didn't went to the university to place implants. She went to endodontics department, but the root was fractured. Sent to us, we extracted, and we found a resorbable the buccal wall here, mesial, in the mesial aspect. And we followed Dr. Nelson Pinto protocol, to start as automatic as possible. When he published this paper, he used the plugs to do the graft, to place the graft. Nowadays, we use only the membrane. We cut the membrane. We are going to see the slides, the next slide. We do in a different way. But here, this is schematic design. You can see how we do that. Or with plugs, one plug, two plugs, and we cover with two membranes between the bone and the subtissues, and you don't close, you don't do a primary close. We need to preserve the dimensions of this socket, and I'm going to show now what we did. We call this LPRF soft blood. We cut the blood we cut the piece of the membrane. We cut the membrane in piece like we do. We have been doing since 2013. But we didn't mix it any biomaterial. We drop liquid, liquid, liquid PRF, and we have this kind of block. It's soft block because the hard block is PRF block with bond substitute. And we grafted the alveolus. And another trick here, we put the LPRF membranes in the reservoir, 2 or 3. Go there, we insert there, we put membranes, not plugs. LPRF membrane sealing the alveolus, 2, at least 2, and we don't do a primary closure. And for me, I have maybe this case. We did this implant. I'm going to show the implant last January. And since I met Dr. Nelson Pinto in São Paulo, I saw his technique. I did maybe 3 or 4 cases at the university, but this is well documented. That's why I am showing you. And I like this because, as you said, the biological principles of soft healing, in 4 months, we have a laminar bone. We have woven bone, but we have laminar bone. You can graft. And you can place an implant, but you cannot load this implant. Now, with osteodensification concept, we can modify this elasticity of the bone. But I didn't, in this case, osteodensificate. I just waited 3.5 months, and I ordered another tomograph, but I didn't in 3 months because I prefer to do in 4 months or 4.5. I did in 4 months. Without biomaterial, is better, in my opinion, in some cases because the biomaterial plates the placement. Without your biomaterial, you have enough bone in 120 days to place an implant. This is the tomograph. Look at the aspect of the soft healing. PRF for soft healing is fantastic. But the bone is reeling too. It's well. The root is well. And here we place the implant. And we did a histological study. Carlos, you know Dr. Terezinha Alves Novalino from Federal University in Brazil. And you work with her too. And we found mature laminar bone. She loved the result. And we can't see any inflammatory cells. So I'm thinking that this protocol is my protocol when you have, let me say, a resorbable buccal plate in molar areas. In very static areas, I prefer the ice cream technique. You know why? Because if you see the tomograph, you see that the alveolus is regenerating, but it didn't preserve all dimensions. We did a socket preservation, but it doesn't mean that we preserve all the measures. That's what I think. That's why so many clinicians and researchers think. But it's well. I like it because if you put a biomaterial, a stick bone, you belate the alveolus healing. And why preserve the post-extraction of alveolar ridge? Well, for many reasons you saw before. I'm going to show this case. This is a case of a horizontal preservation. and it's a young lady in my parameters. 42 young lady, and she went to the university with this exam. So we decided to make the doctoral Esteban sausage technique and to try to improve her to improve her case, because it's it's a demanding case. It's challenging to do that. You see, she lost, but she has a P here. I like this technique. I use Dr. Obron's technique, but I combine with 10 technique or 10 point technique just to make a space to maintain the graph. And I put one here because here she didn't have, she had less bone than here. We tried, to obtain a little bit vertical ridge, because such a technique is not for vertical ridge. It's only for horizontal ridge. For vertical ridge, only bone grafts, autogenous bone graft, and titanium mesh. I mixed autologous bone, part plate, xenograft, or anagram bovine bone, and PRF. You are asking me, maybe you are thinking, why Mentos? Because she didn't have bone there. We have to do something. Maybe a bone block in the posterior mandibular, posterior lower jaw. We did this. It's a very easy procedure, but sometimes you have some paresthesias, have some, but it passed in 2 months. She has a consent. She didn't have so much. And she didn't lose her sensibility for 3 months, maybe 1 month and a half. We did, and we mixed it. Always mix it in this kind of procedures. Autologous bone, xenograft, or whatever you prefer, or allograft. Allograft is not allowed in Brazil, only fresh frozen. And we don't. It's not allowed to import human tissues to Brazil, and we only have maybe in São Paulo a tissue bank, but I have never seen reports, publications of this bank. We could use another one, xenograph, could use alloplastic, bioceramics, whatever you want, and LPRF. I use here, I don't, BIOS. And a guide membrane, bioguides. You have to fix it with mini tags, because it has to be, cannot move this. We did it. Let's see if I have just a minute, Carlos. I'm going to minimize this, just a minute. Yeah. Only to see. I'm going to try to show a video here of the sausage technique, because I know some webinars here are having problems with videos. If not, we come again. It's not the case. It's not the same case. Only for didactic reasons. This case was done in my office. It's a patient from the university, but we did with our team, just to document it. The graph, IPRF, liquid PRF blocker. Stick bone or PRF block, it's up to you. IPRF, you have to fix. I'm just checking. Lots of PRF membrane to close. She's very young. Look, she was very happy when I did this. Continue that case. Pause up 1 week. Pause up 1 month. Look the mental. Was almost done, almost okay. And the final CBCT, look, we did a small vertical hip, but it's not the indication. The indication is for horizontal augmentation. We did. This patient is in progress. The case is in progress. What about that young lady I told you? That's the last case in the beginning of this webinar. This young lady, when she was to the office, she said, I don't want. I want a bridge. We convinced her, no, let's do something here. No, I don't want to stay. Because you have to be time, cost, everything I said to you. We did it almost for free. Let's do something. Okay, she consents. We did. When she saw the result, because we don't have a documentation of the first surgery, because she didn't consent. When she saw the result of the CBCT and said that she was going to have an implant, said, do everything you want and I pay. Look at the lady. She's very nice, very beautiful lady. Look at the provisional restoration. Lots of loss. Look, CBCT. So, and look, the CBCT we had when she came to reopen. Look, enormous gain. She said, I'm going to have implants. I do everything you need. So we are doing. I'm going to show you. We'll reopen her. There she came to reopen. Look here. How was? And look here. It's normal. But the problem is also the mucogengival dislocation, coronary. No, she doesn't have attached gingiva, keratinized gingiva here. But anyway, she has bone. She has a way to place the implant, and we open. Look at that. I forgot to say we did that titanium mesh, and we could do. Some people do a bone block or do a membrane, a cytoplasm membrane is reinforced with titanium. Our team prefer titanium mesh. It was so much bone. Look here. It was difficult to take it out. And we did the implant. Look, the amount of bone we did the implant. Remember, was like that. And she came, hold the poison. Look, only mucosa. No keratinized tissue here. So, we saw her in January. She was supposed to return in March, pandemic, March. But we did something. We did a vestibuloplasty. Look, she needs a vestibuloplasty here. We did a strip, our urban technique too. And again, we did more keratinized tissue in the ridge, a free graft here to her. And her clinician said she saw her, of course, take out the stitches, but it's fantastic, it's beautiful. I think that would be a fantastic case when she has her restorations. So people, let's go straight to the point. Can do alveolar ridge preservation is easier. If you don't do it, you go to reconstruction. If you do alveolar ridge preservation in post-extraction SAD, I prefer, my preference, works better in my hand, immediate placement I showed you, or bone regeneration, and flapless, whenever possible, but sometimes not possible. Bone substitute plus PRF. PRF nowadays with natural guide regeneration therapy without biomaterial, without bone substitute. And we seal the alveoli now with membranes. We can seal membranes. We can still continue sealing with blood. It's fantastic. If you go to the alveolar reconstruction, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because you need to be trained. You need experience. You need to be trained. You need to have a dialogue with the patient. A hard dialogue sometimes. Even in the university, they have to consent. Horizontal augmentation, mix of an organic bovine and autogenous bone, LPIF, always, same mix. Here, same mix. 10 technique, always. Collage membrane, fixed with mean text, and for vertical augmentation, all group prefer titanium mesh. And Carlos, that's what I had to say. I hope the people like it. And my contacts here, if anyone wants to contact me, I have here. And I have for Brazilians, maybe there are Brazilians there. We are going to begin a new training, a new pathology course, specialization. I call 5-star certifications because we are going to have 5-star certifications, not only in pathology, but peri-implant surgeries and guide surgeries and PRF and venopunction also. Do you want me to go again? Carlos?
Hi, Sandra. Yeah, I can hear. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation. Thank you so much.
Oh, Carlos, we tried.
No, you did. I have only one question, maybe two, but
You can ask if you want.
but the first one is you showed us many options for ridge preservation or dental socket preservation. Right now, I'm begging you to forget the literature, and I want to know, forget the literature, and I want to know your standard protocol for dental socket preservation. Your standard protocol.
No, I showed it. I didn't notice at the end. My first socket. Now I prefer the natural guide tissue regeneration for mandibular, for the posterior regions, and if possible, my main option always immediate implantation, filling the gap, and with a subgingival, with a tissue augmentation, with a subgingival graft, or some people prefer a free gingival graft. Always immediate. If not, if it's in anterior tooth, it's better to only to graft. If you have a type 2. Some Sometimes I do that ice cream technique. Remember the ice cream? Sometimes where you put the membrane and you go. Or I have case because I have more case. I have case of, I don't know, José Carlos Martins, Rosa. I do that technique. And many dentists that are watching us here, they prefer in this case when they have the buccal plates, the socket shoe technique. And we do, but I don't have a well documented case to show you. Even Dr. Darcio Luiz da Fonseca, he always gives me a good case, but we don't have time to. We didn't have time to show everything. But why are you asking this? So, again, you want me to repeat?
Yeah.
I prefer the natural guided bone regeneration for molar in inferior region. I prefer. Only without biomaterial. Now,
without biomaterial, without bones biscuit.
No, without biomaterial. And when you go to the more aesthetic areas, I prefer this biomaterial. You know,
which one? Which one?
Which one? I prefer the anorganic bovine, anorganic bovine graft or xenograft, the same. Xenograft, I prefer. We are not allowed to have allograft as American love. Yeah? I was in Vegas last year. Someone didn't like, no, xenograft is not a bone. But I use, and I think it's the most reported biomaterial in the world. Is a bios. We have in Brazil estagraft is collagen. In the Saric, now I use this collagen when I do flapless. Xenograft.
Yeah, the bios, you have the bios collagen too right now.
Yes,
not right now, but they already have it. Yeah, the collagen is one of the most important stuff for the bone graft, for sure. And another thing is, I think that you already talked about it, but what's your opinion for of the dentistry post this pandemic situation?
Wow. This is I wrote something here. Can I see? I forgot. Now I'm only thinking dentistry. But I can say, I can separate my personal feelings of my professional feeling with the pandemic. By in the mid of March, all the offices around the world were instructed to close.
Yeah.
In Brazil, March 19th. In the United States, around. And we were not prepared for this. We're not financially prepared. I mean, I'm not only talking about dentists. The people were not prepared financially and emotionally prepared for that. You know, the world closed, was locked down. It's a great emotional impact in our lives. But you have to deal with this. And when I say about emotion, I say that as worse as a pandemic caused by a virus is a pandemic of depressed people who gave up of their dreams, and it happened. That's why I say that in April, so many people so sad. So, in my opinion, the life goes on. We have to be optimists, and we have to raise our thoughts to our beliefs. Each one have their beliefs. To raise our thoughts to our own beliefs, and to prepare ourselves to this new normal. I don't like this expression. The
Mhm.
media use this expression is not normal. We have to prepare ourselves to return. We return in Brazil at the beginning of June. I return to my office. And as we have patients, we have to give them emotional support. We have to support them. We have to support. We have to tell them. We have to phone them, to message them that our new scenario is very safe. It's very safe. We're dentists. Come on. I
Mhm.
personally worked at 1901, 2. There was AIDS time. So we have already, our, as surgeons, we always use all the PPEs. So we have to adapt. The word for our office is readaptation. We have to adapt. For students, online course we're doing here, it's great. It's come because it works. It's less costly. We can reach more people. This online education. That's it. So
Yeah, and that's amazing for sure.
that's
I
amazing.
think
Of
that's
course, I have to have clinical care. But we learn
oh,
it.
okay.
As a dentist, we know we have all
Mhm.
the biosafety protocols we follow. I'm going to see patients at the university on Monday because these students that I'm going to see on Monday, I haven't seen them since January because in February there was a vacation. It's a holiday in Brazil, there's a carnival. I haven't seen them. I'm only talking to them online or messages. I'm going to, they are finished their course, they're going to see some patients, and some will continue as residents. That's great. Now I'm doing this because they stopped residents, and the new students are coming on August, right? The end
Mhm.
of August. Okay?
Yeah. Right now, yeah, I totally agree. Right now, we are living the new normal situation, and
The new
that's
normal.
yeah,
For
the
me, it's
new
new.
normal.
No. I think this
Yeah,
is a new
and
dynamic. The life goes on, but it's not normal. The normal is going to
yeah,
come because we were born to be happy, to be optimists.
yeah,
You have
and
to
then
take care of ourselves, of our emotions.
and
What?
we as Brazilian people, we like to hug, we like to kiss the other people. That's the normal for us,
Oh,
and
here in Rio, you are from.
we really don't like this situation for sure. We don't
You
like
don't
that.
like.
We don't like to say,
No,
"Oh,
no.
hello," just that's it. We don't like
Jesus.
that.
Sorry.
And
No, we
now
are not
we
like
yeah, and
our
now
way of.
we need and now
Yeah.
we
No.
need we are living in this situation, and um
Yeah. The only
I
communication
hope
in
yeah I hope to I hope to maybe I hope maybe in a few months, not in years
the
or 2 years, maybe in a few months I hope if it's possible to finalize it, this situation, because that's horrible for us. That's
so.
horrible
But
to
anyway,
everybody, but
life.
especially for us, for Brazilian people.
The problem here now in Rio, because I live in Rio, you live in Rio also, you live in Los Angeles, not from Rio like me. We are in the winter. I'm watching there because here is now is uh, 10 to 4 p.m. What time is there in Los Angeles?
11, 10, almost no, almost 12 o'clock,
But
12
how
p.m.
is the weather there? Here is beautiful. The sky is blue. I see here. my window. I see because my window is beautiful. I see some trees. Yeah, I like to go out, to go to the beach, to meet my friend, but not possible now. So, but I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
Now, everything in our lives pass. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm an optimist too. I'm an optimist too. We we must
You
be
are not.
optimists for sure,
You are not
for
optimist
sure.
person. Come on,
Yeah.
Carlos. I am.
No, no, I'm an optimist. I'm
Ah,
too.
okay.
And then we I think that we must be optimists too.
Yes,
All of us.
for our
And
health,
yeah,
for our health
yeah.
and our
And then
family health, you know, we have to be, and
mhm,
so we have to do something to be. No, I don't know, to listen your favorite song, to be with your family, to eat something good, to read great books, not only the industry, you know, to go out. You
mhm.
can go out, can walk and see the blue sky. That's it,
Yeah,
Carlos.
for sure,
I'm so glad to
for
talk to
sure.
you, Carlos. I think I'm going to do a webinar every day with you.
Let's do it. Let's do it. It will be a great pleasure. You know that I
Okay.
love you. You are a great friend of mine. And Sandra, thank you so much for your presence here today with us. And I hope that you keep safe, not only you, but you and your whole family. And obviously, we will keep in touch. We normally, Sandra and I, we talk almost every day, and
Almost
then
every
that's
day.
amazing because we change a lot of knowledge, and then that's very good for me
No,
because
we are going to work together at the university because you are going to give webinar for my
yeah,
students and you are going to focus on all BPRF, clinical
yeah,
trial.
we have yeah
It's a spoiler.
we have yeah
We are
we had some research coming.
coming from.
We have some research coming soon, and then I think that we will surprise some people for sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Carlos. Thank
Thank
you
you so
for everything.
much, Sandra. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Keep
I have great
safe and
friends.
healthy. Okay,
You
you and your
too.
family.
You
Thank
too.
you so
And your
much. You have a good one. Bye bye, my dear. Bye
family.
bye.
Bye.
Bye bye, my
Talk
dear.
to you tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone.